Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Race number 8 at Mountaineer Park on Saturday is the signature race of the Mountaineer season. It's the Grade 3, $500,000 West Virginia Derby. 3-year-olds going 9 furlongs, stakes-laden card at Mountaineer on Saturday. Bet them all with a DRF Bets account. Sign up is easy. Use the promo code HELLO and start punching away. Here's the field for the West Virginia Derby. Mike, I'm curious as to your opinion on this. I think there is a big chasm between horses that win at a mile and a 16th and horses that win at a mile and an eighth. And I think some of the folks are going to look at me with an arched eyebrow saying it's only a 16th of a mile. I think it's a pretty big leap that Mr. Money's going to have to make on Saturday.
I do too. I do think it's a bigger difference than many people will give it credit for. The thing with Mr. Money is, and I think we talked about this before one of his last 2 races where I was sort of against them stretching him back out around 2 turns where you were on him and you were 100% correct. I'm worried about this distance for him, Dan. I just think he might be not just better than these horses, but a lot better than these horses.
That's the thing. He just looks like he might be better, and Timeform US believes he's going to get a wonderful trip. Timeform US has him on the lead. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else decides to go, but there really isn't a lot of speed in this race. Mr. Money showed a little class for me last time out in the Indiana Derby. It was a very oddly run race where there was a riderless horse causing all kinds of mayhem, and Gabriel Saez just sat right behind that riderless horse, waited for him to drift, split horses. Yeah, I thought he was getting a little bit tired at the end of that mile and a 16th, but I just think he's too good for these horses at a mile and an eighth, even at a short price.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it too. I mean, I spent a little bit of time looking for the best alternative just because I don't fully trust him going 9 furlongs. I couldn't find the alternative. I just think he sort of towers over these horses. But we'll see. You know, distance could be the great equalizer in races like this, and that could get him beat.
Maybe Math Wizard is the one that would appreciate the distance. He was second in the Ohio Derby at 9 furlongs, 2 starts back. It was a race where he was saving ground, and it looked like Edgard Zayas wanted to come up the rail on the far turn. That option wasn't available to him. He went outside, and lo and behold, the horse to beat Owendale then slipped up the rail and beat him. It was a solid performance last time out against Mr. Money. I don't think he was really adversely affected by the riderless horse. It didn't make things easier. I just wonder if he's kind of reached his peak.
Yeah, I wonder how much better he can get too. And listen, I didn't really feel like he made it even close with Mr. Money last time. Maybe this distance will bring him closer together. You know, he has the Wood Memorial too, where I think he ran an okay 4th, but of course he had the big fast pace in front of him that day, and this race isn't going to be run like that.
If you are really terrified of the distance with Mr. Money, Pluka Parfait is probably the horse for you because you know the distance is his friend. He had looked good winning the UAE Derby. It wasn't a strong field, but I thought it was a strong performance. He was far from embarrassed at 1,000,000 to 1 in the Kentucky Derby, and I can certainly understand why they tried turf, being by point of entry. He is getting some significant class relief in this race. Does he get enough pace, or can he stay close enough where it wouldn't bother him?
I think he can stay close enough where maybe it won't affect him that much. He is the logical alternative, and I do feel like if Mr. Money loses, this is the horse that beats him. Going turf to dirt, I think, is a good thing, and he's run some races. They're going to put him close to the favorite.
Let's talk about the 7 top-line growth going out for trainer Kelly Rubley. 2 for 4 lifetime in his career. Obviously, this horse has upside potential and earned a buyer in his 3rd lifetime start. The Iowa Derby was a race in which I thought he ran okay. I think he can build off that effort. He's going to need to in order to beat a horse like Mr. Money, but there's something here.
Yeah, there is. He's very lightly raced. He's run well in 3 of his 4 starts. Listen, I thought his Iowa Derby was fine. I don't think if he runs his Iowa Derby back, he's winning this race, but with him, it's all about upside and how much you think he can improve in this race.
Speaking of the Iowa Derby, Fluminense for Steve Asmussen finished 4th that day, coming from well off of the pace. Now, I just might be completely wrong about Fluminense. I see this colt as more of a late-running one-turn type rather than a mile and an eighth horse. But for $500,000 in a field like this, you got to take a shot.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I feel like the distance could catch up to him. On the other hand, if I was going to take somebody out of the Iowa Derby, I'd take him and not top line growth. I mean, this horse had real trouble at the start of that race and was way out of it and was running at the end and making up ground. He actually ran an underrated race last time, I think.
The 10, Chili in Charge, has won his last two races, one over the synthetic at Woodbine, one in an off-the-turf race at Parks. He won by the length of the stretch at Parks last time out, but only received an 80 Buyer's speed figure. He looks good on paper. He's got to do a lot better from a speed figure standpoint.
Looked good in his last two starts. Of course, he was beating a bunch of turf horses last time in a dirt race, which sort of blows up that margin of victory quite a bit. He's going to have to really step forward in here.
Grump's Little Tots finished third in the Easy Goer last time out, going a mile and a 16th. That was a day where the rail was good. Grump's Little Tots wasn't close to the rail. It just looked like everyone was trying to lose that Easy Goer in the stretch. It was a true stagger fest all the way down to the wire. No one could catch Majid late. Maybe just simply being against the bias is enough for Grump's Little Tots to improve. Jason Service has always thought enough of this horse after he won his maiden to throw him on the deep end.
Yeah, he did improve as soon as they stretched him out. You can forget about his Wood Memorial. He was never winning that race. And he did run pretty well last time. He is entered into an allowance race at Saratoga on Saturday. I don't know where they're running. That's probably a better spot than this one. But this horse could still be moving forward. He's not impossible.
Dallas Stewart is no stranger to pulling off big upsets with 3-year-olds, or at least having them hit the board at gigantic prices. Chess Chief was no match for Mr. Money in the Indiana Derby, but it seems like this horse likes distance. He's moving the right way. I just don't know if he gets enough pace.
Yeah, the running style feels like it could really work against him, but he's been improving in his most recent starts.
And this barn that's been winning 37% at Mountaineer is sending out two. The 3 Conative at 50 to 1 on the morning line. The 5 Cornstarch, 30 to 1 on the morning line. Going turf to dirt. Listen, the big question marks on paper. The local connections rooting for him, though.
Yeah. They're just. It feels like they're just taking shots in here for a trainer who's just winning everything. Neither one of them really has a race that makes him that competitive in here, though.
We take a look at our top selection in this race. We look at this race the same way. We look at this race the same way as many people. Are you surprised that Mr. Money's running here and not in the Travers?
Yeah, I am a little bit. I feel like he's the kind of horse, especially this year, deserved a shot in the Travers. But you know what? There's a lot of money on the line, and we already talked about I think his connection's probably worried about distance as well. This is probably the right spot for him. He's going to be very hard to beat, and I'm just not going to try and beat him.
9-4 for me. 9-4 for you?
Yeah, 9-4-6.
That's the Grade 3 West Virginia Derby, race number 8 at Mountaineer on Saturday. Big afternoon of racing, obviously, in West Virginia. Get involved with that DRF Bets account and the promo code HELLO. Approximate post time for the West Virginia Derby, 5:35 Eastern. Good luck.